Good evening, model railroaders, and welcome back to the second section podcast where it's just regular folk, not folks tonight, folks talking about model railroading. I'm your host, Andy Dorish. Joining me shortly from the Fred Flintstone computer room will be Mike Ostertag. So I did want to kick off the live stream this evening just to say, hey, how's it going, everyone out there? Thank you for sticking with us over our summer break. Looks like Mike's computer is also on summer break this evening, but the show must go on, as they say. So tonight we're going to have an interesting show out there for you all. We're going to be talking about things that influence your model railroad. But before we do all of that funny business, I do have a bit of a hashtag not sponsored thing that I do want to showcase with all of you all this evening. So it was a couple episodes ago, we had Chris Palmieri and Jeff and the crew from Prairie Shadows on, talking about a couple of cars that they had released. And I just got mine in the mail this week, and they are pretty slick. So this is the Prairie Shadows version of the Trinity 50-foot high cube box car. And it is really solid. And I do have them on display this evening. So I'm going to be showcasing a couple of those. And then we'll get them rolling around the layout here for you. So just real quick, we're going to do a basic review of these. My mic cut out. What?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I sound okay?
Not really, but we're live, so we're just going to have to go.
That's all right. I can make adjustments on the fly. Sorry, guys. My computer decided to not want to cooperate. I haven't used it for several weeks, so I'll play around with audio here. Keep going, Andy. I'm sorry.
Sure. No, that's all right. So what we'll do here is I'm just going to take a quick peek here at the cars themselves. So I see that Late Night Model Railroad says these are excellent cars, and they are excellent cars. I'm just going to bring up my screen here real quick so you guys can see. So this is the Michigan Interstate version of the High Cube. It has some super cool undercar detail. The lettering on these is outstanding. I mean, it is really crisp and sharp. Yeah, it is crisp. And then you can see just the, on the ends of the box cars, they got some beautiful, see-through platforms, and then the brake rigging and the wheels on the end are really sharp. They come with scale KD couplers as well, so you don't get the the giant Hulk hand out there either. So these are definitely worth going out to home shops and grabbing. And again, not sponsored by in any shape or fashion. These cars from home shops right now are running. Let's see, they're all sold out of the Brownsville and Ashland models.
That one's actually my favorite one.
Yeah, they are. Whoops, there's Mike.
There's me.
Yeah, Mike, you got yours up there.
I do.
They're $49.99, and they are just the shiznittle bang snip snip snap. So right now I'm going to bring up. All of the Brownsville and Ashland ones are sold out, but the Michigan Interstate and the MD Rail ones are still available. So you can go to Home Shops. I'll put the link here in the chat so you can see that. And they're definitely worth picking up. These cars are super sharp. I am very impressed. What about you, Mike? What do you think about them?
I tell you what, I when I got them in the mail, I was like, okay, I opened up one of them and I'm sitting there going, there's no way. There's just no way.
Yeah.
I mean, that you know, let me see, which one did I have? Did I open the Brownsville one? I think it might have been this one. I put them all back so because yes, I'm buying HO scale stuff, you know, because I'm
More than
supporting all of everybody. But
what?
yeah,
No, no
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah. So Prairie Shadows has done such a great job with these cars, and they are if you listen to Ray Arnott's show with these guys, you really get kind of a super inside look at what these guys have gone through to get these cars taken care of and how meticulous they were. And there's some kind of little secretive things in there too with the way they did their molds. So it was kind of not really secretive, but like few things for the future,
Yeah.
so that they could make changes without having a huge expense. So it's like hats off to Prairie Shadows for these, and they are gorgeous. They're gorgeous cars, and
And the home shops, proto, the freelance runs just really brings it home. So I
yeah.
think that's super cool. So what we're gonna do, I got the home shops express here lined up, and so we're gonna, I think we're gonna go ahead and I'll get the old Digitrax fired up here, and we're gonna pull it out of the station.
I see somebody wants a quick update about the wedding. The wedding was amazing.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I was a blubbering mess. But
What?
it was, oh yeah, there were a lot of feels. But my son and daughter-in-law, which sounds awesome to be able to say, they were amazing, and everybody, the dance floor was rocking the whole night. It was virtually flawless. It was just a gorgeous night, and a lot of fun, lots and lots of fun. So
yeah, and you had a week of vacation mixed in there as well too, right?
yeah, the week leading up to the wedding, the week of the wedding, actually, I took that week off and stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't do a whole lot.
No.
I did a little bit of rail fanning, just a little local, but for the most part, everything was kind of centered around trying to get things squared away for the wedding and everything. But it was very, 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 very fun, and couldn't be more proud of both of those kids. I mean, it was something I didn't know how to handle, really. So it was awesome. It was really awesome. My feels hit every single corner of that. I've got one, it was awesome. So
yeah, I mean, it's I vaguely remember my wedding like it was yesterday. So it was
right. Mine was 30 years ago.
Was it? Let me ask you this: like, was it just a blur? Like, as soon as the ceremony got started, and then all of a sudden the dance was over. Was it kind of like that? Was it just a blur? Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I remember quite a few things. I didn't really drink very much. I mean, that was my wife's job that night. So I let her, have it. But I mean, it was really, really, really tasteful and fun, and the venue was outstanding, and
cool.
It was just
What'd you guys have to eat?
The weather was horrible, but every time something needed to happen, it stopped raining. They needed to take pictures, it stopped raining. They needed to do something, it stopped raining. So I mean, it was awesome. So that's a good question. What we had to eat
besides beer,
there was like chicken and something else, and I don't know. I didn't eat very much. There were some mashed potatoes and chicken and carrots and yeah. So I mean, it was one of those. You're right. It was just kind of a blur, and it was it was a lot of fun. So glad to get back to normal. This week has been very, very nice to be able to just relax without expectation of anything or pressure of anything needing to be done. And it's time to start getting into summertime things,
Yeah. Summertime things to also include trains, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And, Andy and I kind of talked about this, and I'm sure you did you touch on the topic for this?
I did, but I didn't get into it. I wanted to get into the cars because I was really geeked out about them, and I didn't know how to start start the show off without my co-pilot here. And so it's like,
Sorry.
if you're not in the window next to me, I get all weird, and then it's just kind of crazy, and then things happen.
Are we done with the cars? Because we could talk all night about those cars.
Yeah, so we're gonna have them rolling around. I'll keep the links popping up here. Again, check them out at Home Shops. And again, just so you guys are, we do a lot of promo work for Home Shops, but we don't get paid by them. We do it out of the goodness of our heart, and because they put out a fantastic product, and they still got a ton of cars in stock, not just these Trinity high cubes, which are super sweet, by the way.
Right. So, yeah. And I mean, if you see something over there, go snap it up, because I know just with talking with Chris that there are a handful of things that are starting to get really, really low on stock. So if there's something that you see, yeah, go get it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, go snap this stuff. It's kind of like anything else that's done nowadays. But I mean, Home Shops, they've done this since the inception, right? So I mean, everything, it should be kind of old hat, where it's you get certain number of this car, certain number of this car, certain number of this car, and that's kind of the way it is. So you got to get them when the getting's good, right?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
and they're coming out with
grab up some.
Yeah, for sure. So I do want to also say congratulations to you, Mike, as well. I think it was really cool how involved you were, and just kind of being there and supporting your son and your now daughter-in-law.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I'll say this, it wasn't like oh ho hum, I gotta do this. Like, you were enthusiastic about it the entire time, and it was really kind of cool to watch you go through all that. So congratulations to you, and enjoy as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, my daughter-in-law, she is an amazing woman, and my son is one hell of a lucky guy. So
yeah,
I tell you what, and to be perfectly honest with you, my son, I couldn't be more proud of him and stuff. I mean, it's the dad feels thing, right? I will say this much though. Okay, I'm going to say this live on the air. Okay, so for their wedding gift, we got them a Blackstone. Okay.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Right. That's wow. Right. Yeah.
Not sponsored. Blackstone does not sponsor the second.
No, but they should, because I tell you what, I love my Blackstone. It's amazing.
I'm a Traeger guy.
No. We might almost not be able to be friends anymore after knowing that.
You've threatened that multiple times.
I know. So during the speeches, one of Ellie's maids of honor, her best friend and her sister were both their maid of honor, right?
Okay.
Says, I have one last gift. Well, she was a trainer. When I say was, because the Packers did not retain her, but she was a trainer for the Green Bay Packers for the last several years. So all of a sudden she says, she goes through this whole spiel and everything else like that. And she says, not only do all of us love you, but so does Jordan Love. And they bring out a deal, and it's a autographed framed jersey that says, ooh, congratulations, Evan and Ellie, or Ellie and Evan, Jordan Love. And I'm sitting here going, well, so much for my Blackstone idea.
Yeah, right.
How do you
Blackstone away?
How do you trump that? I mean, you can't. I mean, that like trumps everything. I'm like,
Yes.
well, I walked up to her and I said, hey, thanks, because we're friends and everything like that, and I love her to death and everything. I said, well, hey, thanks a lot for wrecking everybody else's wedding gift.
Yeah,
And
right.
she starts
Everything
laughing.
else is
Yeah, but
it's
how
just
cool is that? I mean, that's just an amazing gift, and the whole thing was just. I could go on for the whole show talking about it. But anyway, we're here to talk about.
What are we here to
Railroad
talk
stuff.
about? I was getting all into the wedding thing here.
Yeah,
But now
influencers. And
we're
we're
not
not
talking
just
about
talking about model railroad necessarily influencers.
Yeah. We're also not talking about TikTok and Instagram crackers and all that, right?
Right.
Well, we can, but
yeah, well.
So the influencers.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting because you did put together. So first of all, you took the picture of the thumbnail for this evening's episode, correct?
Yeah, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
And that is on a very, very it's on the Escanaba and Lake Superior. And if you actually went there and tried to take that picture, you would see all sorts of grass, and there's rail in there. It's just covered by weeds.
Green ballast.
Green ballast. Ooh, there goes the train.
Yep, there goes the Homeshops Express.
So that looks so sharp.
It is. It's getting pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started thinking about, wow, how can like taking a photograph of something, how that can influence how you do certain scenes or even build your entire model railroad, right?
Yeah.
And then you and I started talking about the fact that, well, there's so many like other non-model railroad people that you and I both watch that I've stolen some ideas from, and it's just how to tie all of it together,
Yeah, right.
And so here we are, going to try to tie it together.
So I think it's really important. Like I was going through the pre-show routine, and just kind of getting some stuff down. There was different categories that came up. One of them was weathering or just painting in general. Another one that I came up with was composition, and putting a scene together. And then there was woodworking and a whole bunch of other things that influence our hobby here. So yeah, it was really interesting. So I do want to just touch on so from a non-model railroad perspective, what would be an influencer for you?
Ooh, non-model railroad?
Yeah, so let's do some non-model railroad like influences.
Well, my favorite one to date right now is Night Shift.
Night Shift.
Night Shift. The things that guy can do with just a block of high density foam is just amazing.
So Night Shift is a YouTube channel that's out there, and it's a scale modeler. His name is Martin Kovac.
Yeah,
and
he's from the Czech Republic.
I believe so. Yes. So I'm going to bring up his channel, and I think it's kind of a cool. He does a lot of armor modeling, right?
He has done he did do right there. There's a little mini train thing it's kind of a war type engine type of deal. It's like abandoned or something like that, I think.
It's a little shunter, right?
Yeah,
that would be in the Eastern Europe type of thing that you would see. But these, like some of these things, like making an old house from styrofoam, right? Like this was what you're talking about. He took a piece of high density foam and he turns it into basically a work of art.
Yeah, like the one right next to it where it says a factory facade. I believe, is that the one that he did inside of a picture frame? I believe that it's only like a half an inch thick or something like that.
You're right. Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's crazy.
And the amount of depth that he achieves by doing some of the modeling techniques that he uses is just absolutely amazing. And he's really inspiring for if you watch for and you and I had talked about this for like vehicle weathering
Yes.
and things like that, because weathering a vehicle is not going to be the same basic technique necessarily that you would want to use like on a boxcar.
Correct. So like where he did this Toyota Land Cruiser, right? You know, is
Right.
totally it's totally different than what you would do on a piece of rolling stock.
Yeah, I mean it's his ability to tie a plastic model and make it not look plastic at all, and then tie that in with his scenery techniques. These dioramas that he does and builds are just they're next level stuff. I mean, these military guys have got it. Well, hey, go back up there where that barn was. That one was that was a really fun.
This one.
Yeah, that one. That was phenomenal watching them, and it's just made out of styrofoam.
Yeah. Just high density, like just insulation foam, basically.
Yeah, high density. I think he uses a real high density foam, and they're just so fun, so much fun to watch. And so, like one of the things, like that I really got from him was how like being more patient and understanding how to correct a mistake on something, or just say, well, that'll be okay because in the next level, this might not be the way I want it to look right now, but the next series of weathering that I do, this will blend in and it'll be okay. So to not panic over making what I might think is a mistake in the near term, but being able to say, okay, let's just wait and see how this works out. And at the end of the day, you can always correct it, and Boomer has said that too. That's why using acrylics is so nice, is because you can actually make corrections to things as you go. If you don't like the way something is, you can correct it easier using acrylics rather than like solvent base or things of that nature. So
yeah. So I think Night Shift is a fantastic I guess influence. There's one other person that is tied to Night Shift a little bit, and that's Panzermeister 36 on YouTube. And like I know a lot of people in this area have seen a lot of his work. However, Panzermeister, in my opinion, he does a really nice job of taking all of those armor model type tutorial type things and applying them to model railroading. And you can see like the one of my favorite cars that he does is this gondola. And I'm just going to skip, basically to the end here. So you can see, what he's done. But this is an old Chicago Northwestern gondola, and all of the techniques that he does for the armor modeling, he applies them here on the car, and they're just fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, the chipping techniques that he has are are, again, like I say, next level stuff. I mean, it's things that I never would have even thought about doing or even attempted in the past. I wouldn't. Now it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, that looks simple enough. And that's the
Yeah.
thing about both of those guys. They both make it look very easy, and they neither one of them make it sound like it's like the end of the world to try to do these things, or that you have to have some fantastic type of skill to do it.
Right.
They're very, very what's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging with
Yeah.
the modelers, so that way you can go and you too can do the same thing as this guy. You just have to have the patience and the gumption to go and get it taken care of. It right, exactly. Look at behind you,
Yeah.
behind you.
Oh
Andy.
no, here comes the Home Shops Express.
Oh.
We're gonna call it out we're gonna annoy everyone in the section crew. Home Shops Express coming through again. But no, you're absolutely right. It's just they are not withholding of any information at all.
No.
They share, and I think what one of the things that I like from both of those creators, and why they're so, I guess you could call them influential for myself, is that they do a great job of explaining the technique and how to apply it.
Yeah, that's what it all comes down to, right? Because like a lot of us want, it's one thing to watch somebody do it. It's another thing to understand the breakdown of exactly what was done in order to achieve that look.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just watching the hey, this started like this and it goes to here. Okay, that's great. But how did you accomplish that? And like you said, both these guys, they'll break everything right down to brush strokes nearly,
Yeah.
in a lot of cases.
Daniel Banks makes a super good point. It just takes practice. It's an excellent use of old blue box kits. I'm going to steal the screen here for just a second because you're absolutely right. So this is an old, I have a covered hopper here. This is a blue box, right? Old Athearn blue box. And you can see on the Burlington Northern part, I'm trying to do on the big B, right? Trying to do that chipping and that different type of fade, as well on this car. And I'm basically looking and practicing from those those tips that I learn on like Night Shift or Panzermeister. So Daniel Banks is exactly right.
Yeah,
That's a
I
good
mean,
point.
if you've got so that's another reason why, like, when you guys go to shows, hunt down these guys that have got the busted up, dirty old boxes full of shells, and you know what I mean? The blue box kits wrapped in cellophane, and you know, grab as many of those as you possibly can when you can. You know what I'm talking. You know who I'm talking about? Like when you go to some of the, like, Train Fest has always had one or two of those guys where you'd walk in and you swear those boxes are 40 years old. And they're just square boxes, and they've got like a dozen or 20 different blue box kits in them.
Yeah.
And they're not expensive. They're by far a
No.
lot less than $50. So
yeah, I don't yeah, I mean, like, the problem is that I never make it to the end of the show where, like, I always spend my stuff on tangents and all that crazy stuff, and I get,
yeah,
and then I come home with 8 books and 14 tangents, and I never think to say, you know what, maybe we should do some shell hunting, some blue box, some smash and grab stuff. I never think of that
yeah, and
until it's too late.
I tend to try to. I've gotten to the point now where, I mean, honestly, when I go to a train show, about 90% of what's there isn't really geared towards what I model,
Mhm.
but I still look for things that I can use. And there are several things in HO scale that are oversized or whatever you want
Yeah.
to call it. So
Yep.
I try to look for the little treasures that I can use. And it's a lot of fun to do that, to be able to do that, because now I'm not going, well, I have to get this, I have to get this, I can go to a show and walk out and buy $2 worth of stuff and be perfectly happy and have an awesome time,
Yeah.
I'm watching.
Ralph Renzetti brings up a good point, about the caveat when watching these guys. They usually work in 1/35th or 1/48th. Sometimes they'll do 1/72nd scale. So a lot of the techniques don't scale down, but some do, right? So there is a caveat there, and Ralph is correct. You have to pick and choose, but that kind of ties into, I guess, another influencer for me, and kind of in the same vein, but even smaller, or smaller yet, is the tabletop Warhammer guys. I just love learning from folks like this guy Ninjan, John Ninus, and he's from the Midwest here, and really does a nice job of not only just teaching the basics of painting by hand, painting figures,
Yeah.
things that we could use in our hobbies here. And I think he does a nice job. There's a couple other creators in this space that do a good job technically. Like 52 Miniatures is another good channel to watch if you want to learn some good techniques. And but these people are entertaining, but they also do a really nice job of explaining the techniques as well. So they help a lot with, especially the figurine piece,
No,
and the
no,
wildlife and all that.
no. Here, I'm gonna kind of steal Ralph's
Yeah, steal
thunder.
the
Steal Ralph's thunder here a little bit. Now, does he do more? Because I'm not very familiar with him, but because
Who's that? With Ralph?
Ninja. No.
Oh,
Ralph. Ralph is fine.
I was gonna say we know Ralph.
I know. Not Ralph. Ninja does he do a lot of stuff in a little larger scale than what we would see in HO, or
The tabletop game pieces are, they're only a couple of inches in height, so they'd be probably more relative to like O scale. However, there's still, the how to use the brush to get, like an painted on edge on the tip of a sword or something like of that nature. That can be applied to, a door sill on a box car, or an old like an old building, like the trim on a building, right? So what they call edge highlighting, or that type of technique, painting eyes, painting eyeballs and stuff like that. I think it's again, there is a scale piece to it. However, they talk about things like glazing and using inks as opposed to paint, and but again, I think it's a, interesting, the techniques that they show on how to actually do the painting themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, I really think that that's one of the hardest things to do in model railroading. Period, is getting a good looking figurine.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not impossible, but it is. It's very difficult to do in smaller scales. I mean, even at 1/64th scale, it's still small. I think that you really don't start to get a feel for like the depth, or exactly what a person is supposed to be looking like, or their facial expressions. I really don't think that a lot of times you can get that until you really do get into the 1/48th scales, or the larger scales, or 1/36th and stuff. I mean, it's just and it's no slight to N scale people, or modelers, or anything else. It's just the reality of the size of the model, right? So
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes the smaller you get, the more limitations you have, and there's a lot of times where you have to make um, concessions for what you're trying to achieve as compared to what you're able to achieve. If that I said that the right way, there's an expectation and a reality, I should say. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think you're I think so. I think I understand what you're picking or what you're putting down. I think
Yeah,
it's interesting, but like they all take advantage of the fundamentals of light and shadow, right? So like, light, how light affects the model, how shadow affects the model. Those are principles that, that we can still apply to the stuff that we're doing in model railroading for sure.
yeah, absolutely. And it- what I'm not personally, I'm not a fan of having people um in my locomotives. I don't like having crew members in the locomotives. I just don't. And I have switch engines. It's just it's one of those things where you can never position them to be in the correct way, uh, you know, to, for the direction you're going as a rule.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So I just tend to leave them out. Um, but yeah, I like I said, I think figure painting is an art form onto itself,
Sure.
and it's that's something that definitely uh okay, thanks. That's a cool shirt.
I threw that one in there just to see if
Yeah,
you would bite on it.
I would. Yeah, it's an awesome shirt. Who wouldn't love to have this shirt? You know.
Yeah.
Actually, I think I got this at some vintage tea website or something like that. Anyway, uh yeah, I think that if you're really good at doing figure painting, your layout is going to be immaculate. It's just everything else is gravy, I think, if you're able to do that, because I
Yeah,
find
if you
that to
can
be
hammer that one you
yeah,
win. You're
yeah,
going
you're
to
winning.
win.
And don't get me wrong, I think there should be figures on your layout. There should be. I just don't like having them in my locomotives and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So I went and blathered on about painters and you did some uh what other things come to mind when you talk about influencer? Not necessarily like the person on the tick and talks, but what else are we looking for? Where else are we looking for influences for our model railroads?
wow. Well, I have a lot of friends who do photography, and and myself included. I like to think I'm a fairly decent photographer.
Hmm.
Um,
Yes.
I've got a lot to learn. I don't get out, and I haven't. If I get a bug up my butt and I want to go and get a certain type of photograph, I'll do whatever I need to get that, and I'll take 200 of them in order to get the one good shot.
Right.
So and I'll be lucky, and be happy if I get one good one out of 200. I'll be very, very happy. Um, One of the people that I've gotten to, as a matter of fact, I'm going to see if I can pull him up right now. Um, Give me 1 second here. His name is Simon D'Entremont. Have you ever heard of this guy?
No.
Uh, there we go. He is a wildlife photographer,
Aha.
and he actually, I'm gonna, if I may steal the
Yes.
part.
Yes. Please present away.
Let's see here. This. Okay, so he's in Eastern Canada, I want to say he's like right around New Brunswick or somewhere over in there, and
Oh, wow.
he's a world renowned wildlife photographer, and
Hmm.
his explanations on how to use low light situations and how to just get the most out of your gear has really helped a lot with some of the photography that I've taken. That thumbnail right there that I took,
Yes.
I probably would have just grabbed a shot in the past and just said, "Oh, that's cool. I got that." But the way I framed that were techniques that I learned, and I know it doesn't look like a lot, but he breaks down in some of his videos, he breaks down the theory of thirds, and he breaks down it's okay to have this blurry to capture this part of detail, and it's okay to not have things in focus all the time because you can, like, when you're trying to focus on one subject, you don't need everything to be as clear. You want that subject to be clear. So if you have a really good train shot and there's blurry in it, the main focus is the train. The blurry parts are just blurry parts. That's all there is,
Yeah, it's
right?
everything around it, right?
Right. And so
Yeah.
he's a very huge influence in my photography, and that has helped, like that shot that we used for the thumbnail. And
Mhm.
um so I was really happy when I was able to get that shot. And because I'd never even attempted that shot in the past because my equipment wasn't up to snuff and I didn't understand what I was really doing. Now I do, and it's uh it's helped a lot. So if you want some really good um tips and stuff, get a hold of or go to Simon D'Entremont. This is and
Wow.
he's if you look, he's
Grab
got
his
492,000 subscribers.
you should grab his YouTube channel link and throw it in the chat for
I'm gonna do
tonight.
that right now.
Do that right now. So let me ask you this. So this affects your photography, and I have, like, I'm glad you went here because I have two photographers that influence a lot of the stuff that I do. But I was going to ask you, was because of what you're learning through this photographer and the content he's sharing, is it going to impact your model railroad in any way?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think so because I'll be able to go out now and say, like, if there's a structure that I want to go and take a look at, or if I'm trying to take a video of, or not necessarily a video. He does explain videos also,
Does he?
but yeah,
Sure.
he does explain some videos, but a lot of it is lighting and how to get the best out of your lighting in photography. And
Hmm.
the lighting portion of it is like, okay, so there's two camps, right?
Sure.
You're building a model railroad. There's several camps, okay, but I'm just using two. You're building a model railroad for photographic possibilities, or you're just building a model railroad to build a model railroad and to operate and to do those things. And taking taking realistic photos isn't like a high priority. So
Sure.
there's nothing wrong with either one of those camps. They're not absolutely not one thing. That's why people make signature scenes, right? Um,
Mm.
so which ties back into the photography thing. Oh, we got the train. We got the
Well,
train.
look at
There
this,
we
right?
go.
The
Right,
signature scene.
a signature scene.
Right.
Yep, absolutely, 100%. And how it was almost like we timed that for the train to go through. That was awesome. But I mean, in all reality, I mean, if you stop and I've I've driven to Manitowoc so many times. There is one bridge on I-43. I keep threatening to stop on that bridge in the morning because the sun is perfect and take a picture down the Manitowoc River looking to the
Mhm.
west. It is absolutely beautiful. It is a big curve in the river right there, tree lined. It is beautiful. And I keep threatening to do it, and I don't because I don't want to get arrested for somebody calling the cops on me for stopping on a bridge and taking a picture. Plus I-43 is kind of a dangerous highway in that
That's not,
spot.
yeah, that wouldn't be my
That's
first
more it.
choice
Right.
to take a picture on an interstate, but yeah.
But the scenery aspect of it, taking those photographs of just a tree line or taking photographs of hay bales in the fall with the low sunlight,
Mhm.
these are all things that you can actually go back, and I plan on going back. I started taking all sorts of photos of non-trained things, and I love it.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it because I'm getting so many details. Old cars sitting in a field is one of my favorite things, and as soon as I say that, I can't ever find any, but I mean,
You just come to Ripon. There's like just right across the street. We have that. We got an old Pontiac Aztec with the grass growing out of it and a tree
Pontiac
coming out.
Aztec.
Yeah, one of them weird turtle looking cars, you know. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. A Pontiac Aztec is old.
Well, yeah, things
Crappy
all
vehicle, but I mean, it's not not a not the I wouldn't call it. Oh, I'm talking rusted out old tractors sitting in a field.
we got
And
those here too. They're right across the street from the meth house. I mean, we got all that stuff here in Ripon.
I forgot about the meth house.
Yeah, you forgot about the meth house.
I forgot about the meth house. That's
No,
awesome.
so that's interesting. Like, I had two wild or nature photographers as well. Ansel Adams was one that I study a lot of his pictures for the different um, the kind of the light and the shadow, right, and then setting up the big scenes, right. I think I look at a lot of his stuff and study his art. And then there's another photographer. His name is Art Wolf, and he
Oh yeah.
does a lot of like some of the stuff he does with trees is unbelievable. And I don't know if it's because of Boomer or what, but I've just been finding myself looking at pictures of trees on the internet, and it's just crazy how now I've gone down this rabbit hole of sorts on studying pictures so then I can try and apply that to what's behind me here. And that's the big thing is I'm looking at these photographers, how they set the scenes up so that way I can, have when I look down this road here, it's like, okay, here's, these components to the scene and then the train in the foreground, and, just to kind of set it up so it's a bit so it flows nice and the scene's composed well.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how just finding one small thing out in the middle of nowhere can spark an idea,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
that's kind of the fun of the whole thing is being able to just look at something and say, okay, I want to try to recreate that. That looks very, very doable, or that looks very, something I want on my layout.
Mhm.
And sometimes you can do that as like a little Easter egg, or I think that's the right term to use. So it's like, you might go and like when I was at uh in Denver in Greeley at the Model Railroad Museum there, it
Mhm.
with Shell, there are all sorts of little things like that. I mean, they have some fun stuff there too. Like they have I want to say there's 14 dinosaurs throughout the entire layout.
Yeah.
but yet you have to find 6. And if you can find 6, it's extremely difficult to see even one of them. They're that well masked. So it's not like it's something outrageous, or out of this world.
Yeah.
But like you can leave little Easter eggs, like a memory that you have of, say, working on a car with your dad, or one of your first cars. I know that's one thing that Luke Lemons would always do is he had his little powder blue Ford Fairmont, and it would move around his layout. On every time it had an operating session, it was in a different location on his layout, and a lot of people didn't really pick up on. I knew what was going on because I knew all about it to begin with, so I kind of cheating on that. But it was just a really, really cool thing to see. There's the Fairmont. There's the Fairmont. Oh, it's down in Oshkosh, right? It's down on Division Street on Oshkosh right now. Oh, look at that. It's up here at Custer now, or whatever. And so, it doing some things like that with your modeling and with photography, it giving you the idea as to, I can do something like that. That's not overly difficult.
Right.
And sometimes it's just something as simple as a signal. It can be very simple. It can be very. I'm searching through my stuff right now, trying to find. I had taken a picture years ago. Actually, I shouldn't say years. Probably about 2 or 3 years ago, of a TP&W interlocking, and I can't remember the name of the town, but it was amazing. As a matter of fact, it was when I was looking for the Bloomer Railroad, I believe it was, and it was just I have to. Matter of fact, I'm going to go back and see if I don't have that handy right now. And it was just awesome. It was a lot of fun, and it was just something so simple, but the signal looked really, really cool. And so I grabbed a shot of it, and it's something that I'll look at from time to time. So see if I can find that.
So that's really interesting is kind of how we're almost tying back even just like memories that are influences to your railroad. So talking about the car, right? So I was fiddling with this a little earlier, but this we talked about this was a Burkina, Ford Woody wagon station wagon. This was the car that my mom and dad had when I was 6 years old. This is what I grew up with. And so now I'll have a little bit of that enshrined on the layout as well. So
yeah, that's really cool. Here, I found it. That's really, really cool. Here, let me see if I can share the screen and Winder. Right there. Now the signal head has been turned away.
Right.
But this is very similar to the signal that I have just built. Really similar, as a matter of fact. And part of it is because in my memory, I had this signal etched in my head, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And so in that same town, they had this really neat depot. It's old the model railroad depot. What's going on here? I hate this steam thing, but not a fan of that.
You're good.
There was this. I don't know if you could see it. Can you see this still?
Oh yeah.
This is a distance signal that was coming up to that interlocking area, and it was along the highway, along the road. And I'm sitting here going, all right. I drove past it. I literally turned around in the middle of a construction zone, not in the middle of it. I turned around. Yeah, I was kind of in the middle of it. I broke off and then came back around. But so just to get a picture of this, because I thought it was so interesting, there's like a little light right here. It's just a square box. And then there's like a little light right here. And then the yellow semaphore. And it's solar.
What?
Yeah, look at it. It's a solar light.
Yeah, I see the solar panel there.
Yeah, this is solar light right here. Yeah. Yes, and it's not. Here's another thing. This is not straight. This is tilted on an
No, that
angle
looks like she got hit pretty hard one night by a dump truck.
or something. Yeah, but I mean, honestly, this is some of the stuff that I'm talking about. You don't need to be. Your layout shouldn't look perfect. It should have
No.
some minor flaws to it because
Yeah.
flaws are reality. You know.
Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Hmm.
there's this really cool caboose here that was in the town. And then this was the interlocking. And I just thought this was such a neat looking little interlocking. And it
Yeah.
was just very influential. And the ladders are the same type of ladder, a very similar ladder than the ones I'm building on my signals. I'm doing a more like a searchlight one, not a two light one, but it's really, really kind of neat. And so driving around and finding things like that, if you see something, stop, take a picture of it. You never know. You never know what's going to influence you at the moment, you know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, there's always something. And Tom Klamoski had a really good comment here about, the greatest influencer is your memory.
Oh, absolutely.
And you're not wrong on that respect, but don't forget to grab a picture too, because sometimes that influencer loses some of its content. So yeah, that's a really good point. So we talked about just kind of, and almost like we're getting into the rail fanning and using pictures and those types of things, a little bit more of an obvious influence, right, on our
Right.
on our so we've gone from the obscure, right, type of influences, and now we're looking at some of the more, I guess, obvious ways that we're influenced on our model railroads. So might be a good time to talk about the question that you asked the section crew on our Facebook group
Ooh,
tonight.
yeah. I tell you
And
what, I think we got pretty decent response on this. It was
yeah,
pretty cool. And there's some cool stuff. So yeah.
yeah, and I think what I want to do is, I think let's go through that, and then I do want to talk about a couple more, I guess, even more obvious model railroad influences, and on that. So this is a new little thing that Mike was working on, kind of busting up the what's on your workbench type of thing, and
Yeah.
I thought it was a really cool idea.
Something new, something to try,
Yeah.
something to see what's going on. About the basic thing clearly. See, and that's really, really cool. Sometimes it's just reading about something is an influence enough, Doing research is awesome.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, for
geez.
sure.
I
And like,
didn't even know you had a book right there.
I do. So this is the inspiration for the layout behind what you see behind me.
Yeah,
So,
that's
but
awesome.
anyways,
That's a good book, too, by the way.
it's a darn good book. Why don't we go ahead and dive into the Facebook thread here, and let's look at some pictures that you had up. Were you going to drive tonight? It's your segment. Why don't you go ahead and drive?
All right, let me see. I don't know how to do this. Where is it? What do I
Oh.
have here? Let's see. Go here. Let's see. Where am I at here? Dum 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 dum. Get rid of those. Go to.
So Split Rock says his greatest influencer is Captain Morgan, and I thought you were more of a beer guy, but I guess
right. I'm gonna try to do this, Andy. If I screw this up, I apologize.
Yeah, do a good job. That's we're here for the high rate production, as always, on second section.
How's that look so far?
Yeah, just need to make the picture a little bigger, and we're good to go.
How do you do that?
Up if you like do the picture deal. Hover over the picture.
Yeah.
Picture. Is there a way?
Like
Is there? Yeah. So there you go. Now we're cooking with gas.
All right. So this is the cover photo for the question, and it's about rail fanning photos that have influenced you, that you've taken or seen or other people have taken. And my Farland terminal is loosely based off of a railroad I used to work for back in the early 90s, Dakota Rail. And this is one of the reasons why I fell in love with switch engines. And I just, this is like a super huge influence for me. And now, granted, the photograph is garbage. I mean, it's kind of all whatever you want to call this, pink in the right-hand side and everything. But I mean, you get the
solar flare.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. The camera is so old and everything.
You were young and you needed the money. I get it.
I know. Yes. So, but I'm really happy that I got this shot and because like I said, it definitely has fueled my current modeling endeavors. So,
boy, I see two scenes right there with the switcher and then the little engine house.
Oh yeah, and that's a newer building too.
Yeah,
they had just finished this building a couple of years prior to me showing up. So that building is really, really interesting. And then behind this are a pair of F7s from Milwaukee Road F7s back there that were on the Siston and Millbank line that Dakota Rail operated for several years. And so now they're here. Now they're back in Hutchinson. This is taken in 1992 in Hutchinson, Minnesota. So yeah, so it's a lot of fun. So see here, I'm going to go over here.
Click Yaruski, see what happens.
See what happens here. Here, Matt Berman said, old Jeeps pulling a handful of potash cars on rickety old main lines will do it for me. Below is the Elkhart and Western Railroad headed for Monticello, Indiana from Monon. I have actually rail fanned and photographed this railroad. It is a really cool little railroad. And they use a caboose as a yard office. So
what?
Yep. Boy, if I'd have done my proper amount of due diligence here, I would have had that pulled up. But yeah, I will. I'll see if I can't. Let's see what happens if I go here and click on that.
Yeah, if you click on that, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah. No. So let's see here. Ryan.
That was really cool.
Yeah. What?
Ooh.
Well, wait a minute. Look at the way he has this. He's got the corn and the ties laying along the main line, and the old. I mean, it's just, this is such a cool photograph. This screams shelf layout, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely.
Okay,
it's a really cool scene.
Ryan Folk, Bloomer Line, was a major inspiration for my freelance Indiana Central, former short line of the show. Older power on jointed rail with heavy cars. All the right elements to shift my focus away from main lines to the more laid-back operations of a rural grain hauler. I see the start of a trend here already after just two.
That's really cool.
That's really, really cool. I know, matter of fact, I photographed this location myself too. I know exactly
Mike,
where it is.
You've been everywhere. It's like that Johnny Cash song.
I try to do something different every time I go to St. Louis, or if I go someplace else, I try to go someplace different. This year, my goal is to hit Quincy, Illinois.
Oh,
yeah, to try to get the Burlington or Burlington Junction down there and their C415. So that's my goal, at least. Whether it happens, that's another thing. Really cool shot though. Very,
Yeah.
very cool shot. If I remember correctly, he's standing on this berm. There's more grain bins right directly behind him. So
Okay.
yeah, if I remember right, this is a really, really neat little spot. And look at he even captured them loading. Look at the grain coming straight out of the chute there. That's awesome. So nicely done. Oh, and there a lot of this stuff is now available in 3D by 3D printing.
Yes.
Yeah.
The surge bins and
Yep.
what
All
is
of
it?
that.
Was it steel mill modelers?
Yeah, steel mill modelers, and they have their what's the subsidiary to that? Oh, nuts! I can't remember it. If you can look that up, Andy, and I'll keep on
Yeah.
talking. Let's see here. Another one. Ooh, no, that's okay. Regardless of what he just said, this picture is beautiful. This
Isaac.
is a gorgeous. This is a
Yeah.
gorgeous. This is a gorgeous piece of photography. Just absolutely well done. CNL 554, the Clinton local, northbound at Paintball Road. That's a cool name for a road. Just south, compass west of Clinton in February of 2020. While this exact picture didn't spur me to model the Gilman sub, rail fanning of it in general from 2018 to 2020 did. Despite growing up in Clinton, I never thought to model it as a prototype until I started to appreciate the laid-back operations that I rail fanned in those years. Turns out it was under my nose all along. So that's a second person that's mentioned having laid-back operations. There's like a whole theme starting here. This is awesome. Beautiful photo, Isaac.
Yeah, that's a Jim Dandy.
Yeah.
That really is cool.
Let's see here. Oh, he's got a couple of other.
You got a couple of more.
This is. There's no real caption for this, but this is a really cool SD40-2 and looks like a GP38-2 and a 5-car train. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's my kind of overpower.
Yep, that's it. That's perfect. Give me this any day. Any day, I'm all about that. That's fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
Let's see here. Andy Hider. Hider. I'm not sure, Andy. I apologize if I butcher your name. It's just one of those things I do.
Hit the zoom button. Hit the zoom in button there. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. This is my layout is based on the Minnesota. He had actually posted this and then deleted it and reposted it. So that's why that first sentence says in there. So my layout is based on the Minnesota commercial, in large part the Hennepin job, but with a couple of others thrown in for good measure. I've never seen the Minnesota commercial in person, let alone photographed it, as we live in Melbourne, Australia.
What?
Yeah. I grew up in Adelaide, South Australia, and my father was a lover of U.S. superpower steam. But as a young girl, my father would often drive us through a place called Mile End, where there was a lot of street running. Seeing the big road Alcos and hearing their bass rumble running alongside or in front of our car made me love the sheer size and earthquaking power of them. In later years, my search for online information about my now favorite Alco, the RS-27, I agree with you. The Alco RS-27 is a phenomenal locomotive.
It's a C628 all the way, baby.
Okay, this not being friends is really getting like
we're getting dangerously close.
Dangerously close. It led me to videos of the last two in service on the Minnesota commercial. As I watched more videos of the Minnesota commercial, I realized it had everything I wanted. Alcos, particularly the RS-27, and lots of urban last mile operations on right of way and streets lined with green trees and great architecture.
So first of all, I love the stories that
Yes.
are accompanying these photos. I absolutely love the stories because they're adding that connection to the place. I absolutely love that.
Yeah,
And
that's a phenomenal story right there.
yeah. And Late Night Model Railroad has we have done something unintentional here. So Mike, if you look at the background, don't close out of it.
Okay.
But if you were to look at our background that we have up, there's a picture of you with the Ellis and I pick of that you did, and the curve of these tracks line up almost perfectly to the background of the podcast here from this picture. It's crazy.
That's awesome. That's nuts.
It's a good catch there, Late Night. That was good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. He's there. She's got a couple more. Just another one.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah,
there's your RS-27, right?
Yeah, I tell you what, I got stories about that old girl. She's
Zoom
she
in on
was
it so we can get a little closer. Hit the zoom button just so that
we
everyone
go.
can take a gander at her.
Yeah, it's the RS-27 was a pretty powerful locomotive that had a horrible overheating issue. So it was, they weren't the Green Bay and Western did everything they could to keep these two running, and they ran right up until the last day. So
It's how everything goes, right?
Right,
They
exactly.
run right up until last day. But so these were then, I guess put out to pasture on the Minnesota Commercial. 316 was just recently retired, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And rumor has it is that somebody has purchased them. Don't know who. They are not being sold for scrap. They are being
Really?
sold to be put back in service. They were being purchased to be put back in service. I
Wow.
don't know where. That's all somebody from a source at Minnesota Commercial in the office that I got to talk to here a few months ago when I was over in Minneapolis. They're the ones that actually sourced that information for me, and so it was. I'm not sure what the status is of them, if they've moved, if they haven't moved, or what their status is as of right now. So hopefully they survive together, because these are actually the 316 and the 318 were actually former Chicago Northwestern locomotives.
That's what I was just gonna say. They were old Northwestern units. Didn't they run up here?
Yeah, they ran in Green Bay and then or in the Green Bay area, and then and I don't know if they ever got down to the Alco line or not. I'm not sure if they did.
So I have in this book, you see, they talk about the power that ran up in the Peninsula Division.
Here's a picture of the 318.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
Yeah, I had the good fortune to have the opportunity to be able to photograph the 316 inside the Minnesota Commercial engine house, and a lot of old GBW painting and markings were starting to show through, and it was really good to see that it was still alive and kicking. But it's it's starting to look a little rough. But
so you spent time in that locomotive?
I have spent quite a bit of time in both of these locomotives, both the 316 and 318. When I worked as a brakeman on the Green Bay and Western, we'd have these on the road trains all the time. I remember going and doing the Buren job in Wisconsin Rapids with both of them on occasion. Didn't really use them a whole lot in Green Bay on the locals, but once in a very great while, I would catch the 330 extra yard job, and that would basically be the night over the river job here in Green Bay, and we would have one of those if they were available. But typically, they would be put out on the road trains to go between They in like Green Bay and Wisconsin Rapids and stuff. So, and out towards Winona.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, they're matter of fact, one of them, I believe the 316 was one of the engines in our consist on the very last number one when we left Green Bay on August 27th of 1993. So
That's awesome.
Continuing on.
Boy, this is a fun new segment.
Here's another one. This is an awesome picture.
Yeah.
That's an awesome picture. So let's see here. All right. Joey. Oh boy, I'm gonna screw that one up.
Nopers.
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 Nopers. Something. My current focus is on structures. Here's a rail-served industry near me that I recently based a kit off of. There's still more to model there, so there will be more structures in the future based on this site. That is a cool looking little building.
Yeah,
that
is
an awesome little building. And I like the, could this be a potential corn syrup, getting corn syrup in possibly like an old, like a bottler, like a 7-Up, like 7-Up used to in Oshkosh, 7-Up used to have a small bottling plant in Oshkosh that would get a tank car of corn syrup from time to time.
Yeah.
And I think they bottled Dr. Pepper there or something along those lines or something.
Oh, now I'm getting thirsty.
I know, right? But cool little details in this one. Look at a blue flag sitting on the track, and the old sign, the framing for an old sign right there, and the weed covered telephone pole or the vine covered telephone pole. Really a lot to take away here. Really a lot.
Hey, late night, can you do us all a favor and post a link to where we can check out some of the structures that you've made? Because I think Luke Lemons has bought one. I think it's pretty awesome. So
yeah,
if you want to just do that, throw that in the chat for us all tonight. That would be super awesome.
Here's another building that he just posted. How awesome is this one? That's really cool. That has building flat screams, just screams building flat or low relief. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I at least that to me, that's exactly what this looks like. Such a cool looking photo and structure. And then he says, for the actual model railroad, I'll be building next. These MP unit, Missouri Pacific units, are fueling my ideas lately. Not my photo, but I did purchase the original film slide for it. Yeah, I don't know how you could not like the Mopac.
Can you zoom in on that? Thomas Austin is another Mopac modeler within the section crew here, and he puts out a locomotive a week. It's just amazing to watch. But boy, Mopac,
those are U23. I think that's a U23B, or either that or is it a -7 maybe? No, I think it's a U23B. Just looking at the trucks, I think I might be wrong, but that's gorgeous. That's really, really cool. I like
it's interesting. Split Rock brings up an interesting comment here, and Late Night says that's a U23B. But this is a little trend that you're noticing here is that all these small lines and short lines are inspiring for layout. So why is the demand for a huge basement filling empire such a draw?
Well, because maybe because you want to fill as much of your basement with as much of that railroad as you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Even if it's a little trundly, like even for me, my railroad, at one point my wife and I are going to move, and the Farland terminal is going to expand. Now it's not going to change the way the railroad itself is, but I'll be able to put a longer distance between my locations and be able to do a little bit more with scenery that I can't really do in my house right now, That's a really cool shot. I like that.
That's a really cool. Yeah, I like that as well. What has Ken got to say here?
Ken Ziska is inspiring role models. And I'm not sure who that is.
Is that Lynn Westcott?
Is it Lynn Westcott?
I have no idea. I know like Lynn Westcott had a pipe historically.
Yeah, very well could be. If I mean, he definitely would be an inspiration. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. No,
Ken,
but that's
if you could elaborate on that, if you're in with us
Ken.
tonight.
Ken brings up a really good point that I just want to hit on just a little bit. So I have one of the influences that I had was it's David Frary, right?
Oh yeah,
Yes, here I am with my books again, right? So how to build realistic model railroad scenery, and just some of the stuff that he puts in his books is it's really inspiring. So, but yeah, Split Rock says mandatory pipe.
yep, absolutely right.
There you go.
Let's see here, Tim Moran. Not a railfan picture per se. However, it is the motivation for my modeling efforts. The spur goes behind and supports all of these industries, including the freight house. This is back. Oh man! So this is back when industries just were massive,
Behemoths.
They were enormous.
Right? Yes.
Diebold, Clinton, Ohio.
Canton, Ohio.
This is
Canton.
Yes, Canton, Ohio. Look at it. First of all, look at a steam engine sitting right here, but look at a camp car looking right there.
I know it. Boy, you can just get the gritty feel from that picture.
I know. My mouth is getting dry from soot just looking at it.
It's that smell of burnt steel in the summertime. That hot metal. That's exactly what that picture embodies.
Absolutely, 100% correct. I mean, look at we got a boxcar right here.
Yeah.
With a truck sitting in front of it. This looks like it could be a milk truck or a delivery truck of some sort right here.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we got. The tracks go way back in here also? Sure. Look, there's a yard back in here.
Look at you with the eagle eye.
Yeah, look at it. There's tracks way back here.
It's a cool shot, Tim.
That's a really cool. Who was it that from Fast Tracks when he did the Circle Warehouse in New York?
Tim Warris?
Tim Warris.
Yeah.
When he had his model of that, that's a similar thing. Like a single industry that does not deliver red dirt necessarily.
Dude, we are not going to be friends after this show.
No, I know. But actually, this could be a layout all onto itself.
Yeah, for sure.
You map it. Sure, the buildings will be a little bit, you'd have to do some creative adjusting and some modeler's license, but you could certainly create an entire layout based around this industry and just have a blast doing it. I think that's really, really cool. Thank you very much, Tim, for this picture. That's really, really good. That's a really cool,
good influence.
Oh, Luke Lemons. Let's see. What's Luke Lemons say? Luke Lemons. Okay, so can you see this photograph or no?
No.
Can you see the photo? Okay, hold on. We'll have to. He says, my father snapped this photo when he was out in the woods with my uncle. I never personally saw this train. When my dad had the photo processed, for some reason, I got an 8x10 of the photo that hung on my bulletin board in my bedroom for years. I didn't have 3 Sioux Line engines at the time, 2 of which were the crude, I did have 3 Sioux Line engines at the time, two of which were the crude Athearn GP35s. Remember the roof used to come off on those?
Well, and wasn't the GP35s like, so there was the what the roof's width should be, and then there was the Athearn Blue Box GP35, and it was like it's just enormous.
Yeah, it was special, that's for sure. It was back in a time when that wasn't very important.
No.
Wanting to learn more about this 771, I wrote to Model Railroad magazine for more information. I did get a reply, which was helpful. This all led me down a path to learn as much as I could about the Sioux line. And I'm going to, let me see.
Do the old switcheroo.
Can you see this now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the photo. And what a really cool looking picture too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that must be on the line that goes to Gladstone. I'm just guessing up there just by looking at the photos and the trees and having been up that way for a while.
Didn't the Sioux line run across the state too, like almost along US Highway 8?
They did. Yeah, they went all the way. They went all the way to Minneapolis. You could go from Minneapolis to Sault Ste. Marie, I believe.
Yeah,
almost in a straight line.
So here's Luke with the answer. The Shawano sub.
Oh, that's the Shawano sub. Wow, that's
not Shawano.
I'm very familiar with
that's called Shawano.
No, yeah, not Shawano. It is, yeah, it's
not Shawano.
Not Shawano. Yeah, if you Google Maps, the very nice lady who did that was it's funny because it will say Shawano. Yeah, it's kind of bothering me, but yeah, it's the Shawano sub. I'm very familiar with that. I ran trains on that for much of my career when I first started out on 11 and 12, which that train most likely is, and then I also ran a local from Neenah to Shawano, and so I'm very, very familiar with that line. That line goes all the way. It used to go all the way to Argonne Junction from Neenah. So very, very cool picture, Luke. That's that explains a lot.
Thanks for sharing.
It actually does explain a lot, because if for those that don't know, Luke is a ravenous Sioux line modeler and has recreated the Sioux second sub in
HO scale.
In amazing detail, and it's really, really well done. So hats off to the picture there, Luke. And I'm not even going to say anything mean tonight about the Sioux line. So let's go on. Oh, this is interesting. What do we got here? Don't have a lot of railfan photos of the area, but Google Maps and Street View have been my main reference / inspiration for the UPM Blandin paper mill in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but the UPM is that. Well, see, I use Upper what is it? Something in Meridian. Oh man, I can't remember the name. I thought the UPM was a railroad at one time, but I might be thinking of something else. On the BNSF Lakeside or Lakes subdivision, planning to model the plant in N scale as a single industry layout back in the late 80s when the subdivision was owned by BN. Had several relatives that worked at Blandin over the years. Grand Rapids, Minnesota map, Google Maps. There you go. That's actually really, really kind of neat. Yeah, Google Maps, that's something we never talked about.
As far as an influencer?
Yeah.
Late Night Model Railroad, I mean, Google Maps is one of the greatest gifts given to model railroaders. It has the LOL at the end of it, but I mean, that is probably 1,000% true.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish you could get a little closer in on some of the stuff to be able to really get what you need to get out of it as a model railroader with some of the like track work and things of that nature. I mean, I'm not thinking you got to get like 4 feet off the ground from it, but if you were able to get within 50 to 100 feet, I think you would get a little bit better idea as to what was going on. But yeah, this is really, really kind of a neat little industry thing.
Yeah, it's a really cool idea for an industry. Nice small layout, feeder yard there. Like this is kind of like what we talk about on short line of the show a lot.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in having your own industry switch engine and doing all that and having a major class 1 railroad feeding you, and you have so many different ways you could go with this. That's really, really cool. That's a good job, Randy. That's a really, really good picture. I like that.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah, and keep us updated on the layout too, because that sounds
Right.
really interesting. Absolutely. I'd be all over trying to find that one. John Garvin. I was the young guy at the local IGA, and I was sent to pick up lunch at the Chinese food restaurant. Out back of the restaurant was the Port McNichol sub line through Aurelia with a high hood MLW switcher and caboose. The conductor walks.
No.
Yeah.
That's such a cool locomotive.
I know. The conductor walks out to the caboose with his bag of food. The engine starts off with a bang, a big cloud of black smoke, and takes off like a racehorse. I was in love. That's why I model CP rail, and why stinky, oily, and load MLWs are my favorite. Pictures taken November of 1987 at Port McNichol. Algoma's greatest lake fleet would win. Oh, Algoma's Great Lake fleet would overwinter at. Oh, I see what he's trying to say there. Algoma's Great Lakes fleet would overwinter at port, so the fleet would stay over the winter time at Port McNichol, which is really, really cool. Yeah, these are like RS11s. Aren't these like RS18s? Isn't that what they called them?
Yeah. So John's got a little note there. Rebuilt into an RS18U.
Yeah.
So this isn't like, say what you want about CP. The Pac-Man logo is one of the coolest railroad logos, and the stripes on the end. I think, man, if I were to do a Canadian railroad, it would be CP.
Yep, I would 100%.
If I had to do a Canadian Class 1, it would be CP.
Yep, I agree with you, 100%, 100%. And I will say this much: that's no slight to my employer, because I today just had the opportunity to operate a SD40-2 with the North American cab on it, and still painted with the zebra stripes. I like the CN zebra stripe paint scheme a lot.
Sure.
So that's kind of, you couple those two eras together, and I think you really got something when it comes to Canadian railroading.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, really cool. Nice captures, nice cool pictures there too. Let's see here.
We got more?
We got lots more. We have a ton more.
We're going to be here all night. All right.
All right. John Garvin again. I'm building a new shelf layout of Aurelia, as my first is over 30 years old in practice and technique. Mostly, I really know what I want now. Photo is the industrial heart of Aurelia, 1950, and I'm planning on a shelf layout in the 1984 era. CPR trackage is out of sight beyond the station in the top center. trackage visible in the photo is CNR, or Canadian Nationals, New Market sub, and THD junction with the Midland sub.
The
Let's-
convergence of a couple of different subs here.
Yeah, but look at how cool that all looks. Like literally, it's all snow. See what I did there?
Short little yard there. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. You don't have like yards don't have to be monstrous.
No, and I like the way he has this labeled too. You know,
Yes.
where you have Canada castings and what's actually where far alloy. My mouth is just my ability to talk tonight is just not really there today. Mulligan Barrel Factory, that sounds like a cool place. Or Milligan. So yeah, it's really, really kind of, that's a cool picture. I like that.
Ooh, we got Bob Rivard here. Looks
Bob Rivard picture. Cardigan Junction in his basement, summer of 1977.
What a cool scene.
Yeah.
I was almost gonna make the is that real?
Right. Right.
Oh, that's cool.
You would never know the size and depth of this scene if you by this picture.
Having Bob on the show was a treat, wasn't it?
Oh my goodness. We have to get him back on one of these days.
That would be cool.
He's definitely a must-have back guy.
Really enjoyed that.
Yeah, he's got so much to offer and so many good stories and many good modeling techniques that he's one of those guys that you just need to have on over and over again.
I was watching William Sampson's YouTube channel last week or so, and just the rail fanning with Rivard segment comes on, and it's just so much. It's so awesome.
Yeah,
just the capturing of all the information, and then I don't know, it's just shot well.
And I will say this much too, and Bob's gotten to be a friend of mine. And I also got to thank Luke for introducing me and getting me involved in that and stuff. And I know you're friends with him as well. He is one of the most enthusiastic modelers I have ever met. And it is almost impossible to match that guy's energy. He has a passion for what he is doing that I don't think I've ever met anybody that can recall information at the drop of a dime. I mean, just at a moment's notice, he can take a look at picture and say, oh yeah, that was coming up, such and such a hill at this point, and this is that road, and this is this, and well, this crew was doing this that day, and blah, 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 blah. Just the memory retention from all of the things that he's seen over his life regarding the Sioux line.
Yeah, right.
He really needs to write a book, but but he is again. If you ever go to a show in the Twin Cities area or St. Louis when he's down there, and you get an opportunity to talk to Bob, I love him to death. But do it. But be prepared. You're going to you're there for the long haul. And so it's and that's not a bad thing. You'll walk away knowing more than you did than you ever imagined wanting to know, and that's an absolute gift. So definitely cool picture there, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. That's amazing. Oh, talk about influencers.
Yeah, we didn't get to him. He's on my list.
Yeah, I know. This is one of my dearest friends, Robert Frischella.
Can you zoom in on the picture, Mike?
Yeah, I can. Sorry. Let's see here. Oop, I want to go back a little bit. It's hard to narrow it down to a single photo, but this comes close to D&H in Pennsylvania. And this is post Guilford. Well, maybe it's not.
Pre?
Yeah, no, it's post Guilford because this is Guilford. Looks like a Guilford unit in the back here. That looks like a Guilford unit right there. Bob, I'm sorry if I'm wrong. you know how to get a hold of me, and you can yell at me later. But Bob actually models in S scale, and he has an amazing S scale layout. But he models a former Pennsylvania line. Man, I'm gonna get this wrong. That the D&H acquired. It's a real railroad. It's a real line, but he's doing it as if the D&H got it instead of the
The
Pennsylvania.
Williamsport sub.
Something like that. Yes. Yeah. And it's really his modeling is amazing. It's I can't say enough about it. But the photo itself, I could see how he could be inspired by wanting to do the D&H, you know. The D&H is a cool railroad. It's a really, really neat railroad.
Yeah, I know absolutely nothing about it.
Really?
Yeah, it's just all I know from it is what Bob Frischella and Mike Rose have told me about it.
Yeah.
That's it. The
little bit that I do know about it is that it was one of those railroads that was trying so hard to be independent, and no matter what it did, it just couldn't get over that little hump to do what it needed to do. The paint schemes are awesome.
Yeah.
All but one of them. There's one paint scheme that they have that's absolutely horrible. But it's and that's I believe it's the solid dip with the solid yellow cab. It's just plain ugly. But at least that's my opinion. That's my opinion.
Maybe that's what we'll do, a show on railroad paint scheme stinkers, like Zito yellow for the Chicago and Northwestern.
That's a great idea. Put it
Send in your stinker. I'm going to put it on the list.
Yeah, put it on the list. That is a phenomenal idea. I love that. Well, but you know what? How's the old saying? Go, one man's whatever is another man's something.
Trash.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, it's the railroad itself is really, really cool. What little I know about it, and we should have Bob on again too one of these times to talk about the D&H. That would be really, really kind of neat. So thank you, Bob, for that.
That was a good one.
Alan Klipis. It wasn't a rail fanning photo, but 2 books that hooked me on the New York Susquehanna and Western, circa 1942. One was an ebook, no longer available online, about commuter passenger train operations and applying that to your layout. This hooked me on the Susquehanna's ops in the 1960s. But in reading up on its history, I got pulled earlier by the cover painting on a book right here. And the more I read on the railroad's history, the more things have crystallized. The biggest obstacle at the moment is that I've got items in the basement that need to be moved or disposed of. This sounds like the story of my life, but I cannot do it by myself. Back and health issues. Sorry to hear all that. If I lived closer, I would definitely be over to give you a hand. And I've been battling zero finding help. Someone needs to start a business for helping clear space for building model railroads. Anyone coming to the St. Louis RPM want to spend a day helping a fellow out? For the right amount of beer, I could be talked into doing almost anything.
There you go.
That's a cool cover for a book, though.
It is a neat pick. I can see how that would.
The doodle bug is really neat. That's really, really kind of cool.
Yes, it is.
So
the Susquehanna, that's the NYS and W.
Yeah.
You don't. It's cool. It's I don't know, their paint scheme, the black and yellow on some of their diesels. That's, I don't know. Anyways, another one of my closet little railroads that I like.
I actually ran a couple of Susquehanna units back in the mid 90s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were on 11 and 12. I was running that job and out of Fond du Lac. That's what we had for power, were 2 of those and a switch engine.
Hmm.
So I have a picture of them somewhere on, but anyway, Daniel
Leduc.
Duke, blow this up. My influence for my layout was the Michigan Central Station in St. Thomas, Ontario, that became the Castle subdivision. And I had the chance to get one of the last copies of the Michigan Central Station made by ITLA. And
Man.
and the influence begin for me and still going. CSX was exercising their trackage rights up to I'm going to say that should be mid 1990 or 90s. The line was owned by CN from 1985 up to 2012, where it was torn up. The line was bridging north of Lake Erie between Detroit, Michigan, and Windsor, Ontario, to Niagara Falls, New York. CSX quit the line in the mid 90s. So after Penn Central bankruptcy, Conrail took over the line in 76 up to 85 when CN and CP bought the line from CP to milepost 0 to milepost 31, and CN from milepost 31 to Windsor, Ontario. CNO was running over the line, then late chassis system, then CSX. At last, I wanted to model a U.S. railroad in Canadian soil. Well, I've been served, and that's it. There you have it. Wow. That's a lot, but that's really
cool. Look at that station. Look at that station.
That's such a cool looking building. That is so awesome. Wow.
Yeah, that's a cool pick. I like the B&O unit up front, and then the chassis, and then right behind it,
the Penn Central. Poor Penn Central.
And there's is that a Conrail box car behind that?
It is. And
yeah, so he's got the whole gambit, kind of covered there, which is
in one shot. Wow,
yeah.
That's really, really cool. That building is so massive, though.
I know.
How long do you think that building would be? That station would be if it was like? Have you ever seen one of those ITLA kits?
The thing would have to be 4 feet long, right?
At least
3-4 feet long. Has to be.
At a minimum 4 feet, I would think. Well, look at it like this. So you could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly 6 car lengths right here. Figure the front of the engine's a little past the corner, like maybe about half of the engine is past the corner. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd say 5 or 6 50-foot cars. So that's
So Dan's on the show tonight with us here in the section crew. So he says there's more picks that you'll have to check out, and it's 4 feet long.
Wow.
So let's see what else Dan's got in the post here. In the replies. They're in the replies there. He's got one in the. Look at this.
Oh my good Lord. Look at that.
What are we looking at here, Dan? Is that the kit?
That's his layout. That's the kit.
And then I'm gonna guess, is that those new Rapido?
Oh, those things are so cool.
Jeep 9s?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well done.
That's yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, you get a little golf clap for this one. That's holy cow.
For sure. Well done. That's awesome. Look at the door. Yes.
I think the boarded up window on the door is a great touch.
Wow. That's the model.
Wow.
Hot damn. See, Ken, $20 goes my way. This is the type of stuff you get here on second section. That's to get in the door.
Yep. Wow. Thank you very much there, Dan. That was awesome. Let's see here. Kinzer The Hartwell Railroad. Lots of first-gen EMDs with original heritage paints still operating in rural Georgia. EJ&E, Conrail, C&W, Rio Grande, RF&P, STLNA. I believe that is St. Lawrence and Atlantic. Is that correct? I think. I took this photo shortly before starting construction on my new shelf layout. That's a cool looking shot.
Zoom in a little bit, would you?
Yeah, sorry.
So I mean, my old eyes can't see that well. That is really cool. Now, if I'm not mistaken, unless maybe I was in a beer-induced trance, but I could have swore I saw Kinzer had models of those locomotives in a post on Facebook somewhere. It wasn't our page. Maybe it was our page. Can't remember. I thought he had done models of them, but I could be mistaken.
I tell you what, that looks like that's just the perfect reason to buy whatever comes along.
Yeah, exactly, right?
I mean, and just if you want to start, like, just say you wanted to start a freelance railroad, here you go. You don't need to have everything look the same.
Yeah.
You know, and you could have the railroad having been in existence for a long time and still, you know, look like it's
prototypical.
Day one, we just got the power type of stuff.
Right. Right.
Great job, Kinzer. That's an awesome photo. That's really, really cool.
Is there any? Does he have a reply in there?
He does. Says photo by Matthew DeLang. I love the way the vegetation towers over the train and carpets everything under it as well. Yeah, that's a really cool shot. Kind of looks like the ELS.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Is that a Chicago Northwestern Jeep 7? I do believe it is. That looks like a C&W unit. Potentially.
Dun, dun, dun. So he has a YouTube channel as well. And we're gonna put it here in the chat. And he's got some really, really good modeling out there.
Yeah. Let's see here. Holy cow.
Yeah, this is where I saw it. He just released a video on YouTube 7 days ago on the Hartwell Railroad and HO scale, the EJ&E Conrail in Rio Grande. Yes, that's where I saw it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so make sure that you go check out Kinzer's channel and especially that video. Look at this. Oh, we're on the next thing.
Yeah, sorry. No, that's okay. No. I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. BN on the High Line in Northeast Montana, late 80s.
That's crazy.
The tiger stripes.
Is that what they call that?
Yeah, that's what they called that paint scheme, the tiger stripes. That's probably a Jeep 50, if I remember right, with a B unit, with a GE B unit behind it.
Look at that picture. It's just the sky goes on forever.
It does. Well, they don't call it Big Sky Country for nothing.
I suppose. That's why they put it on a T-shirt.
Right? Exactly. But this is here again. Here's another. This photo actually is
tree.
It's a single tree in the middle of absolute nothingness. You have grass. What is this? Maybe a little road right here, or farm road or something.
Yeah, right.
But for the most part, this is modeling length of run. You have one tree, and it looks almost like this might be a grain elevator in the background back here with a little Quonset hut, maybe. But it's you don't need to have all sorts of elaborate scenery to make a scene look beautiful. This right here is this would be awesome to see somebody model something like this. I'm assuming this is like mid-fall. Just looking at the colors,
The
the sky, the tree, the no leaves on the tree, the grass is all yellow. Yeah, beautiful, like a late fall storm coming through. This is a nice job there, Robert. Let's see here. This photo of Pure Gold Citrus Packing House in Laverne, California is a primary inspiration for my N-scale layout.
Oh, Greg,
yeah.
Greg Terhar. Yeah.
That's a really cool picture.
Yeah, he's been yes. He's been posting some stuff on his YouTube channel and as well.
Are these orange groves right here, Andy? Would that be what that would be?
I would assume so. They have to be
a citrus grove of some sort, maybe lemons or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's a really cool picture. That's really neat.
Yeah.
I'm trying to pick. How did you? Okay, so you have an industry over here. I wonder if this building over here on the right, this house-looking thing. I wonder because there's these cars sitting here. I wonder if that's related to the Pure Gold building somehow.
I would assume so, right?
There's no runaround here, though. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Cool. That's a very cool picture, Greg.
That's a neat building too, with the Pure Gold, logo on the front.
Yep, absolutely. All right, moving on. Another Bob Rivard. Oh, took the shot at Cardigan Junction in April 1978. This one's the real one. At this time, I did not know how much this photo would be such an inspiration for my modeling. And if you go back, I'm not going to do it right now, but go back a few photos earlier. This power consist is the same power consist that's in that photo,
that's awesome.
Is in that modeling photo. Yeah, this is a fantastic, the fantastic little shot. That's awesome.
And it fits right into the model that he built.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. I love it.
Let's see here. Ooh, Bryant Caden. We'll get this up there. There we go.
It's a caboose hop.
Yeah, I modeled the now abandoned C&W Redwood Falls branch in Minnesota in the late 70s. This is a photo by Steve Glashinsky from 1977, taken at. I get Glashinsky and I can't pronounce the town name.
Gilfillan,
Minnesota. I wasn't even born then, but I fell in love with the idea of trying to recreate the sight of Alco's trundling along lightly used and barely maintained rails across the prairie where I live.
That 72-pound rail.
Yeah.
It's tiny. That is tiny.
Still looks better than most of the Milwaukee Roads track in Minnesota, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But
that's awesome. It's a cool pic.
That is a very, very cool pic. I like that. You should model that, Andy. Look at a grain elevator back here. Look at that. That's awesome.
If I'm doing the C&W, I have to do the marsh line. Remember?
Oh, yeah,
Tom Klamoski told me so.
Yep, I know. Because if you don't, you know what's going to happen.
I get banned from the hobby.
Yep, you're banned from the hobby. Yep. Okay, Melfort Yard, my hometown, used to be full with lots of grain elevators, stock pens, creamery, lumber mill, oil distribution. Now she's a bare bones 5-track yard. Well, unfortunately, that's the price of progress, right? That's.
Yep. Yeah.
That's kind of the way things go.
It's an elegant way to put it.
Yeah. If you look, there was a switch that went right here at one time. These are switch ties right here.
Oh yeah.
So there was a switch here, which to me means that this switch here was back here, and they shortened the yard, or they did some kind of new thing to it, and
Alignment.
they realigned the way the yard is, but they never took when they took the switch out, they never changed anything else. So that's
Yeah.
kind of cool with all the tie piles and all the stuff in there. That's kind of neat.
That's
That's really
awesome.
cool. Yeah. Thanks, Mike. Let's see here. Another Mike Sharon. New focus for my layout is PA Saskatchewan Yard. I had family that worked this line before I was born, heard numerous stories growing up, saved old family pics, etc.
That's awesome.
Okay, now this is, look at this. I mean,
Is that an SW 1500
no.
or an MPA 50, or is that, what is that? I can't tell. It's not a gen set.
No, it's a Rapido made them. Help me out, guys. Section crew, help me out. I know you guys know what this is. What these were. They are the
GMD ones.
GMD ones. Yep.
Boy,
yeah, we actually had several of these.
CP368 is just all over. There's BLE Bob.
I totally blanked on it. I knew exactly what they were, but I'm like, nope. My head wasn't working.
Here comes, boy, it's just flooding in now. You really stepped in it, Mike.
Yeah, I know. What a shock. What else is new? But look at all the stuff to take away from here. You have a roundhouse back here. You got a yard over here. You got grain elevators. 1, 2, 3 grain elevators sitting here.
Yeah.
There's a lot here. Holy cow.
That would be a cool shelf layout in its own right. Just that scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. 100%. That's a really cool shot. Thank you, Mike. Let's see. Oh, our good friend Bernard.
Orange Borg.
Yeah, the Orange Borg. Quebec City, 2013. The inspiration for his QGRY in HO scale layout. The SW 1500 right there. And what is the name of the Quebec in Gatineau? I believe that's what it
right.
is. That's a really, really cool shot too.
Yeah, nice K-rail there too.
The what?
The bright yellow K-rail.
Oh yeah. Right. So yeah, that's really, really neat.
Yeah, it's a neat photo of the engine.
Roster shots can be very, very helpful, so they don't all have to be super photogenic. Let's see here. We got quite a few to get through here yet. Yeah, this is the Arkansas and Missouri Railroad's Rogers Local, heading back from working TRG scrap loads. These cars will be sent south on the Fort Smith turn to the Union Pacific. The industry track plan is in Rogers, Arkansas, can be a challenge as there are facing and trailing switches with road crossings thrown in between. This was taken in 2023, and yes, the T6 and C420 types are still used. Modeling is inspiration, interchange industry operation, a variety of locomotives and color schemes in the modern era. This was my inspiration for my Emma Industrial District on the Penn Reading Industrial Division.
Yep, his current layout.
Yep, the T6 is a cool engine.
John Rose makes a really good point here. Look at the example of the different sized rail.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's you have some pretty. Let's see here. Which one's bigger? This one be lighter for sure.
Yep.
But this doesn't look as big as this, I don't think. Oh, it's kind of hard to tell. Because you're right at the switch. So the switch is going to... Yeah, regardless. Yeah, that's a great point. You can definitely tell there's differences in the sizes, for sure. Cool looking Gons, though. Look at beat up Gons. Gons are so cool. Kinzer, again.
He's back.
He's back. The Blue Ridge Southern Railroad, mountain railroading in North Carolina with SD45 bodies on SD40-2s. I took this picture many years ago on one of my first visits. The layout is still in progress, but these locomotives are now gone after the closure of the paper mill.
Yeah, so Watco, right? That's Blue Ridge Southern.
Yep. Yo, Watco.
It's your favorite.
Yeah. Sure is.
You love it.
Yeah. Tom Klomoski. Now, somewhere I've seen this in some book someplace before. I don't, man. Help me out, Andy. Have you seen? I know you've seen this picture before too, right?
Like John Armstrong's layout planning for operations.
Yeah, it's that one. There was some other, I don't know, some other book that some guy wrote. I can't remember what it's all. Something about a layout being the right size or something. I don't know.
Size. It's the right size. The right size layout.
Right. by Mr. Tom Klomoski, believe it or not.
And I think he's if I'm not mistaken, if in the 5 Timers Club here on the second section.
Oh man.
We need to get those jackets made up.
I know we do.
5 Timers.
I know we do. So Tom says, as I rub my eyes and everything went blurry, the Georgia Northeastern Railroad, GNRR, engine service facility was just begging to be modeled. The GNRR, it's awesome. The GNRR is a neat short line with old secondhand EMD power and was exactly what I was looking for to model. Slow, relaxed operations and a chance to ride with the crew one day sealed my choice of railroads to model. That could do it for sure. You get a cab ride with somebody. That's pretty much ball game, if you ask me. The thing that strikes me about this is, and if you guys have Tom's book, go back and look at it. He was able to model this really, really close to the way this photo looks.
Yes,
and it's really it's kind of a testament to what you can actually do recreating a scene from a photograph or making a certain scene like a signature scene. An engine house could be a signature scene. I believe did he scratch build the sand tower for his layout? Does he have this sand tower?
I think so. Yes,
I think he did. So I mean, it's really, really cool picture, and grab his book.
I put it in the chat.
Yeah, and if you get a chance, it's a great read. It really is a good read.
And one of the episodes where he was on our show, he talked in depth about this scene.
Yes.
And basically how he transferred the picture to the model railroad. And I think it's a really it was a really good tutorial on how he did that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's see here. Where are we at here? Thank you, Tom. Let's see here. Clark Kooning.
Yeah.
Huron Central Mix passes along the edge of the north shore of Lake Huron. Yeah, that's what's that?
Not pictured is Clark's slip bobber out in front of him on the lake.
Right?
Well, I think he told me that when he took this picture, he was fishing.
There
That's
you
the
go.
lore behind it. And I think when we had him on the show, he talked about this particular picture in detail.
Yeah, I've actually let's see here now. Last year, was it last year? Last
Yes,
May?
and you went on the
Last
beer
May.
run.
Yeah, when I went on my beer run up to Sudbury, I actually rail fanned and had an amazing opportunity to to photograph the Huron Central, and the crews on that railroad and the management that I worked with there were absolutely phenomenal. And I really hope the railroad can survive. I believe I heard rumors that the paper mill, their main customer or one of their main customers had shut down. So I'm not sure what the status of the Huron Central is right now. I'm hoping that they got back up and running, but yeah, really cool railroad, beautiful country up there. Holy cow, is it beautiful country up there.
Trees,
So,
rocks, and water.
yep, trees, rocks, and water. Let's see here. Oh, we got more. We don't have too many more. Let's see here. Let's see. Highway 17 and the Huron Central, Northern Ontario.
It's a really neat picture.
Yeah, I'm a little upset with Clark about this because okay, so I had posted. Do you see this road right here?
I do.
Okay, so I wanted to get pictures of the train coming through here. It was a crappy, rainy, dark day. And so I was following the train north because going this direction here is going north towards Sudbury. So I'm on Highway 17 and I'm like, okay, I can't find a way to get to this picture. There's no good way to get to the bridge. I pull up into here and I stop and I'm waiting for the train. I had 4 people stop and ask if I was okay. And, everything was fine. They were just the nicest people. And so I got a shot of the train coming around this curve in the rain. And it's one of my favorite pictures I've ever taken. It really, really was very, very cool. And so, yeah, I'm going to give Clark -3 points for cheating with daylight and the drone. Uh, I appreciate the attempt, Clark, but some ground level stuff here. We got to figure out how to get to this area right in here somehow without getting hurt, because this is kind of treacherous right in here. So, but no, in all seriousness, Clark, really cool picture. Very, very cool picture.
-3 points.
-3 points. Yep. Let's see here. Jeff Crocker. I was very happy modeling an HO standard gauge when I saw this photo of the Mans Creek Railway in a book. Being born and raised in Minnesota, I was always interested in the iron ore railroads. And when I saw this image and those short coal hoppers, they reminded me of ore cars. I decided to do more research on this image, and one thing led to another, and I tore out a finished HO layout and built an N3 layout of this railroad. What I did not know at the time is that I would have to scratch build everything, including the 3 shays that that the MCR Railway used. I had the shays displayed at the Twin Cities Modelers Retreat. Yes, you did. All 3 are 3D printed. All the hopper cars are built from wood, and all hopper cars have operating doors and allow me to unload live coal loads. I took photographs of all of his stuff, and it is absolutely immaculate modeling. It is really, really well done. It's gorgeous. His unloader thing is beautiful. It's really, really cool. So,
Isn't it amazing how one picture can make a person do some very funny things?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, it really is. That's why I'm afraid to look in books anymore. Because I know I'm going to open up a book and I'm just going to go off into a rabbit hole that I'm not going to be able to get myself out
You'll
of.
be fine. It'll
Okay.
be fine. It'll be
Look at the
fine.
little caboose. Look at the little caboose thing here. That's
Is
kind
that
of
what that
cool.
is?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's this little caboose, almost like a bobber type of caboose. That's really neat. Jeff, you're awesome modeler and this stuff. One of these days, I'll dig out the photos that I took from the retreat, and you'll see, and we'll get back to this picture, and we'll kind of compare and contrast and stuff like
We'll
that.
do a
They're
clip
really,
show.
yeah, do a little clip show. That's a good. Hey, there's a good idea. Put that on the list.
Okay.
Oh boy, here we go. Do I want to click on this? Oh,
Do it. Mike took the time to post it.
I know. This was actually one of my favorite days lately. This was such
Zoom
a
in.
fun little day. All right. So, getting a lesson in taking pictures, I learned a lot this evening and gave a different way to view my layout. That's Mike Shanky right there, and that's yours truly over on the left. As a matter of fact, we saw the WSOR heading underneath, and I was really hoping to catch. This is the former Chicago Northwestern and now Union Pacific's Adams line, and I was really hoping to catch a train on there at sunset or near sunset, and there was supposed to be a train coming, and it never showed up. So minus 35 points to the UP for not accommodating my needs.
Well, it's you picked the Adams sub. That's like
I know. I know. You know,
if you're not down by Kleiman, it's not happening.
Right. Well, they got to go through here to get to Kleiman.
I know, that's what I'm saying though. But like, there's the local for Watertown that you can pick up there.
Yeah.
So but anyways, yeah.
In all reality, it was a phenomenal day. He had his daughter with him, and we just had an absolute blast. And it was getting skunked was perfectly fine. It was just so much fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of questions were asked, a lot of things, and I did my best to try to help out. And it was he's gotten very good at taking pictures. So
it's funny how, this another one of those ways to be influenced, right? It's not in a book, it's not out on YouTube, it's hanging out.
Just hanging out.
Going rail fanning, or, like you were talking about the modelers retreat, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know both Ken and Tom or Split Rock, right? Are on tonight, talking about that. That's another great way to be influenced is, to, hang out with some friends and get really enthusiastic about model trains. It's not hard to do.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like I say, if you look at it, the day was beautiful. It was an absolutely, flawless evening, and it was just so much fun. Gonna have to try to get back down there and do that again with him one of these days. It's just a lot of fun. So
yeah,
thank you, Mike, for sharing that. Ooh, here we go. My Bonanza Valley and Western is heavily inspired.
Is that another Greg?
Greg. Yeah, by the Red River Valley and Western, and which is, correct me if I'm wrong, Greg, is the Red River Valley and Western is owned by the same group that owns the Twin Cities and Western, hence the paint scheme, which is virtually identical to the TC&W.
That's right.
But Breckenridge. Now, Breckenridge, correct me if I'm wrong, but Breckenridge is on the former Great Northern, and that is part of what Joel Weeks
Wilmer sub.
Am I right or no?
Boy, that sounds right, but I'm I know very little about the GN,
Yeah, I'm the
especially
same way.
in the 70s.
And I've operated Joel's layout countless times, and I'm always stuck in the Twin Cities yard because that's kind of what I do by choice. I actually always take that job. I
I
just
got
like
stuck
that
in the
job.
Helix one time. That was fun.
Yeah, I know. That's that can be troubling in there. So I I try to stay out
Troubling.
of there.
That's a
Troubling is a
nice, it's a polite way to say that.
yes. So, but yeah, Joel Weeks, his Wilmer sub layout, amazing looking layout again. And yeah, this is Greg. This is amazing. I love the grain elevator.
Yeah.
I am just a grain elevator guy. I just am. Um, come in so many shapes and sizes, and I don't know how you can't be inspired by that. It's really really cool. Very, very cool photo. I like that a lot. And that's an old that's a GP20C right there, if I remember right. That's a Caterpillar repowered Caterpillar GP20. Something like that.
I'll
Cool
take your
picture.
word for it.
Cool picture there, Greg. Oh, we're getting down to the brass tacks here, I think. Let's see here. Ooh. Okay. Taken in December of 2019. The rare RS 1325, one of only two in existence on the Atlantic and Western Railroads in Sanford, North Carolina. Thankfully, she was saved and is back home at a museum in Illinois. Yes, the number 30 has recently been acquired by IRM. So in operating condition, if I remember correct. But what a cool looking engine. There's only two of these built, Flexicoil trucks. Has like the short hood of a GP20 and the long hood of an SW1200.
Boy,
And
Frankenstein.
there are only the two built, probably for good reason. But what is this? This looks like a cabinet of some sort, or some kind of metal structure. That's kind of curious. It's kind of a neat detail.
It's like an old walk-in freezer that just kind of got dumped there.
Yeah.
You know, like a meat locker.
Yeah, it's got 4 doors to it. 4 sets of
Yeah,
doors.
well, you know, it's probably for deer season, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, there you go. You get cooking in there, and
that's a very, very cool picture there, Joel.
it is.
Yeah, very, very cool. Let's see here. Neil Erickson.
He was on the show in the section crew this evening. Cracking wise.
Yep.
About Captain Morgan.
Right. Double-headed outside frame C25s coming off the branch past the station and the iconic Three Water Towers, an old Shea engine house located on Oahu, Hawaii. Now, when we talk about model railroads, you don't often think of Hawaii, but Hawaii had a rather intricate series of railroads at one time, mostly serving the sugarcane industry.
That's right.
And I mean, look at the track work on this alone. That is some awesome looking stuff.
Looks like it'd be fun to operate if Neil uses that as inspiration. That could be a lot of fun.
Heck yeah. Oh yeah.
Next time I go to Hawaii, I'm gonna have to stop by.
Right? Let's see here. Thank you, Neil. Paul Scott August. I couldn't actually rail fan the Mondovi line as it's now an ATV trail. And I model an era before I was actually born. But this color photo of Mondovi, Wisconsin from 1958 has it all. Branch line operations, aka last mile switching, steam to diesel era industries, tracks buried in the dirt, roads made of dirt, classic stone depot, classic car parked at the depot, rusty and weathered rolling stock, iconic green and yellow Omaha Road boxcar, plus 3 more towns like this on the line to model and operate in. MRR Bliss. Yeah, this is a cool photo. Let's take a look at the car first of all. That might be, yeah, that's what, maybe a 56, a 55.
Probably.
It's got the fins like it was a. I know I'm not a big car guy, so I mean it's.
So I've been following Paul's railroading for a while on YouTube, and he's one of our moderators here, but I would recommend you all go check it out, because if you look at this photo and you look at the scene on his model railroad, it's a dead ringer. And it's like the wood pile in the foreground there. The car, the yellow and green car, often makes an appearance on the line. He's done a fantastic job bringing this to life.
That's outstanding.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool when you can do something like that. If you have the room to do it and you can do it and do it justice, that's really, really neat. Man, there's so much to look at in this photo.
He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
And just the translation of the photo to the model railroad, it's really good.
Yeah, that whole 50s era, as much as I'm like an 80s, 90s, or basically late 70s to early 90s modeling kind of guy. Those people that model that the 1950s and the early 60s, when you still had a lot of your 40-foot box cars, and a lot of industries would get part loads and there's just
less than carload.
Just such a different era and such a different mindset when it comes to doing your modeling. It's just, there's a part of me that envies those guys, because they have so much to draw from.
Right.
So, let's see here. I think we're getting. I think this might be the last one.
All right.
Oh, look at, no, there's no description, but we know what this is. This is the Union Railroad. What an amazing little railroad this is.
How do you know that?
Because I know the Union Railroad. It's all it's all switch engines, and it's all steel mill operations, and it is it's also the fact that there's another picture that has the description on it. So, but what a cool looking yard, and all these
zoom in, would you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Look at all the flats. These ingot flats. I think that's what those are.
That's crazy.
MP15 DCs and SW1200 1500s. I think that's what those are. They might be all SW1500s, as a matter of fact. But yeah, there's that one, and then there's a reply down here. Union Railroad in Braddock, Pennsylvania, at the Edgar Thompson Works. And then he has his model of it. Look at that.
That's outstanding.
Look at the cooler on the end of the. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Oh. Zoom in.
I don't know if there's cool. There's something red right there. That's close enough for me. That's so cool. So, what a cool looking model. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Nice job.
Yep. And that's it.
That's
All of it.
outstanding. Boy,
no
that
more.
was a really good segment, guys. A big hand to the section crew for taking the time to post some of those photos and telling some of the backstories with it.
That's
Made
what I
'em-
like the best of it is the backstories.
Me too. That was really cool. So this was a really interesting episode where we kind of took some of the abstract, right? Of the things that weren't really model railroad related, and then, talked about some modeling technique and this, that, and the other. But then at the end of the day, what is it? What does it boil down to? A picture,
A
right?
picture. Yep.
Trying
Yeah.
to capture that picture or have some impressionistic form of that picture.
Yeah.
And just the stories behind the pictures, and and then seeing the model translated from that is like with Tom Klomoski and Bob Rivard, and the last one that we just saw, right?
Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, and I mean, even just looking at some of those, was sitting here going, "Oh man, I can remember that. Oh, I remember those. Oh man, I remember." And that goes back to your memories, right? You
Mhm.
start thinking about things and remembering how things were and how things are, and I guess like one of my biggest things is if you're out there doing stuff like that, looking at influencers, whether they're like airplane modelers or military modelers or Warcraft or whatever it is,
Yeah.
you're always going to be able to take away something and apply it to your layout. And photographs, same thing. You can always take a photograph and apply it to your layout. And that's kind of the fun part about it, right?
Yeah,
Just-
exactly.
Just trying to recreate reality. So, which is what we're doing basically anyway.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It was, this one was, if you were in the summer modeling doldrums, and we've talked about that. We had, I think, Tom Gazier on. We talked about summertime blues, and the Crossing Gate podcast talks about the funk that some modelers get in the summertime. What a great way to bust out of it. Looking
Yeah.
at pictures, right? Or other sources for inspiration. Talk about a slump buster.
Yeah.
That could really,
Just
go
grab
ahead.
a book. Well, just grab a
Yeah.
book and page through a book. You don't even have to read the thing. Just page through it. You never know what you might find to inspire you about your layout or get you back on the horse, or
Yeah.
and we're getting closer and closer to the dog days here. It's gonna start getting hot. It's gonna start getting to where people just, the holidays are coming up. We got 4th of July next week, and it's after
St.
that,
Louis RPM.
St. Louis RPM in 3 weeks. And to be honest with you, the St. Louis RPM for me is kind of it's the end of what I consider my busy season for doing all my shows or all the shows and doing things and stuff. And then after that, I take a couple of months off and I just go and I might go rail fanning once in a while, but for the most part, I I need to fix things and I got to do the honeydew list mode, right?
Sure.
So, then when September comes right back around, I'm right back at it, and you got modeling season starting up again.
That's right.
Is there really any season for modeling? I mean, typically winter and fall and winter is what's considered modeling season, but can summertime still be modeling season also?
Oh yeah, I use the basement to escape the heat.
Exactly. That's what I do too.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking just briefly here, as we land the plane this evening, we bring the train into the station, right?
Right.
we're going to be talking. So we're at 4th of July coming up, so we won't be on next week, but the week after. So in 2 weeks, we will be on that Thursday before the week of the St. Louis RPM. I think we were going to try and wrangle Ray Arnott onto the show from Around the Layout podcast, because I think he is also going to be in attendance in St. Louis as well. And so we're going to have, so there's going to be quite a few of us down there at the show for the St. Louis RPM, the midsummer. Tony Cook from Model Railroad News and Diesel Era Magazine.
Yep.
Shane Mason from Model Railroad News will be there.
His associate editor, he'll be down there.
Yep. And then
Ray will be there.
Yep.
You and I will be there.
And a lot of the vendors that we've had on the show, like Bernard, I think Bernard Helen from Mini Prince is coming too.
Again? Really?
Yeah, I think I'm getting scanned.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So we're gonna have a full, the section, second section crew here. Both you and I will have our own mini prints available. Yeah, so that's gonna be fun.
I just happened to remember, speaking of doing the mini prints, my beautiful wife Joy, she wants me to take one of my mini prints and paint it up so she can put it on her desk at her office. So I'm sitting there going, I'm like, all right, hon, whatever you say, I'll do what I can. So I gotta I gotta do that here pretty soon.
Yeah, so that's Darren Hassett has got another question, or another thing coming up this next month is the Big Boy makes its return as well to the rails. So
that's going to be an interesting thing. I thought about possibly going down to it, the Rochelle portion of it, but how can I say this as nicely as I possibly can?
It's going to be a cluster.
It would have to really simmer down to being a cluster. It's going to be absolute and utter chaos.
Bedlam.
Yeah, it is going to be. Well, first of all,
a lot of foam.
If I were to do that, my plan would be to go out of town, knowing the direction that they're going to be heading. Just go and let them have their thing at Rochelle and set up and plan on photographing after the fact, away from the crowd. And because the town of Rochelle is going to be insane.
Yeah.
And I imagine they're going to do it right there by the park, I would imagine.
I think so. They would by the diamond there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be just a quick stop and go, or like an hour-long thing. I don't know what it's going to be.
Remember that time when we were down at Rochelle and we found that, what was it, that back, there was that old Fairbanks Morris.
Oh, that old engine. That old Alco
Baldwin. The Baldwin.
Yeah.
Well, you and I went off the beaten path and possibly may have entered an area we shouldn't have, but
no, there was no possibilities about it. We definitely did. We were in areas fun. We should not have been in, and but we were able to get out of there before that. We were able to get out of there before the UP's MI6 was able to get us.
So, they're men in the black pajamas before they got us.
Yeah, they were. We were able to get in and out of there. But I mean, which we do not condone doing anything like that. It was just one of my.
What's this road?
What's this road go to? And it just kept on going. And I guess we're not supposed to be in here. Well, while we're here,
that's for sure.
But
yeah. So anyways, we'll have a little pregame for St. Louis in a couple of weeks. And we'll get some other stuff fired up, topics that we want to talk about. I think rail fanning may be on the docket because I know Ray is an avid rail fan as well. So
50-foot high cube box cars, man.
Mm-hmm. Telling you, boy, they
Right.
do look. I backed the train into Pine River Wood Products here. I gotta tell you, they look real good out in front of the loading dock for River Wood Products.
Oh, and
Those,
rightfully they should. That's awesome.
yeah. So when I progress my railroad through the years, that's gonna be a
Ooh,
staple.
put that down too as a topic.
Yeah, yeah. We're just
You know,
in.
moving your railroad through the years. That's a good idea. Put that down. That's a great one.
Yeah.
Short line of the show next time. Uh, Potentially, yes. If I can find some time in the next 2 weeks to sit down and actually do some stuff, potentially even a locomotive of the show. We got the what is it? The 280 consolidation, I believe, is what we
Yes,
have.
the consolidation. That's
Yeah,
the next
which
one we're doing.
yeah, that's going to be the next one. I am where is the S scale version? That's a good question, Ken. Seeing as how there's no manufacturers in S scale that dare to even venture into the modern era of railroad equipment with 50-foot high cubes, somebody's going to have to scratch build one, and I just don't have time to do it right now. So, but other than that, I would love to have some 50-foot high cubes. That would be awesome.
That would be really fun. I just looking at them, boy, those cars are really attractive. Ray's onto something there. I don't know what
I
it is.
know. That's what
We got to
bothers me.
listen to him more often.
Well, let's not go overboard here. Ray, we love you, bud. I can't wait to see you.
So I think if the RS-27 is a locomotive of the show, we are going to have to just do a show probably on just that.
Ooh.
And your experience, because I think that's one of the things that we really haven't tapped into yet here on the show.
Yeah.
In almost 3 years now.
Yeah.
Is really, gathering around the rocking chair and having Mike tell us stories from the cab. So
Yeah, I had a can of soup blow up on one once. That was no good. I was hungry all the way across the state of Wisconsin.
was that on the Green Bay and Western?
Oh hell yeah. Yes. Oh, just go put your soup on the back on the engine block back there. It'll be fine. We get to the rapids, you can open it up. Okay, fine. I go back there and it's all over the place.
What was it alphabet soup, chicken noodle? What were we dealing with here?
I think
Beef
I had
minestrone?
Hormel. I think I had some Hormel chili or something like that. It was yeah, it was. Yeah, I didn't say much. I just grabbed the can, threw it in the weeds, and just went back and just muttered under my breath and had a cigarette. That was all I did. I was smoking back then, so yeah.
We were young and needed the money. That's the excuse, right?
Right, exactly.
Very good.
I got a bunch more stories where that came from. So
yes, and we certainly do look forward to them. So, if you guys don't check in with us next time, and you are heading to St. Louis, make sure you do stop and introduce yourself. Say hi. We'll take. Definitely love to hang out with you guys. And yeah, there's going to be some events going on as well. And I know that right by the hall there's the hotel with the bar inside. So come and be happy to have a drink with you.
Yeah, is there there's a pre-show
happy hour,
right?
Yeah.
Is that Thursday night? Is that what that is?
Thursday night, yeah. And then I'll probably be leaking around the lounge there, just hanging out and chatting with whomever that night there, right there. So,
and I'm in a different hotel than you, so
yeah, I'm not even in that hotel. I'm actually in the Marriott across the street. But
I'm in the Comfort Inn. So
yeah, I figure I can still, navigate my way across the street, after a few wobbly pops and still be fine. So
yeah, it'll be fine. You'll be fine.
Yep. Very good. Outstanding. So I do want to thank the section crew. It was a great response on the Facebook page tonight. And Mike, any closing thoughts before we shut her down for tonight?
No, I want to really thank the section crew though for really coming through with those photos and everything. It was, I threw that out there this morning, and to get the response that we did, that was fantastic. And you know, it just goes to show that anything can inspire you to do anything that you want to in your modeling.
Yep.
And just keep your head on a swivel. You never know when you look to your left or look to your right what you're going to see and what might catch your eye. And so, you know, and we all have these handy little things right here.
Oh, phone, right?
Everybody's got a camera hanging around, right? You know, so you see something, grab a shot of it, you know, and draw from it. And you know, that's it. That's all I got, you know. So, but yeah, that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. It was a great turnout.
A lot of fun tonight. Yeah. And again, so if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure you do so. And if you're not part of the Facebook group and you want to be, Second Section Podcast on Facebook, you can go ahead. We do have 3 questions you have to answer before I let you in. And then once you're in, there's a great modeling community in there. Lots of model railroad content. Plus you get a little behind the scenes stuff on what's going on with the show and that type of stuff too. So good way to support us and be part of the section crew. So Mike, I think that's going to do it for us this evening. We'll be back in 2 weeks, maybe with Ray, maybe not. We haven't finalized the details there yet, but we'll certainly be talking about St. Louis and then having some more model railroad content coming your way. So thanks, section crew, and y'all have a good night. We'll talk later.
Good night now.